Hi, this is Jupiter from Prism Fantasy, and welcome back to our channel where we talk about spirits, entities, and magical beings, divination, magic, alchemy, and more. Today I will be discussing the topic of tools used for communication with spirits. Spirits is a general term Jinyu and I use for beings outside of the physical dimension, so it can be a living entity, a dead entity, and even deities or immortals. Many people don't really understand about the tools for divination. You can use candles and flames, bones, rune stones, even mirrors. In this video though, I'll just be covering about the most common tools that people generally use, which would be the Ouija board, tarot cards, and pendulums. And of course, you and I are spirits in the flesh. There is no better communication tool than your own spirit, which you can do with a combination of telepathy and opening of your third eye. It's just a lot of people don't know how to do this, or they don't have the time and patience for meditating, and this is why we use tools. While Jinyu and I encourage people to use tools, we don't recommend that you depend on them forever, because then you would be just limiting and stunting your spiritual growth from further development. It's alright to solely start out with tools as training wheels, but then you should begin to combine your senses while using the tools, such as seeing or feeling expressions of the spirit while using your tool. Eventually, you're going to work yourself to the point where you no longer need your training wheels. People not only use tools to communicate with other spirits, but also their own spirits, which you can hear them being referred to as our higher selves or shadow selves. And just a little about that really quick. We are in the flesh right now as we are physically, and while your higher self is the yang, your shadow self is the yin. They are like you ever see those movies or TV shows where they got the little devil and the angel sitting on your shoulders? You yourself physically in the flesh is the ego, and when you combine that with your shadow self and your higher self, that's what makes you whole. Now we can often speak to our other selves, which is our divine selves, for guidance, and that's another great thing about tools, because aside from communicating with spirits, you can also find lost items, summon or conjure spirits, read energies, talk to the universe, and even predict the highest probability of an outcome, which some people would call predicting the future, but I don't like to say that because you can't always predict the future due to the future constantly changing. You can control your destiny, but you can't control fate. Fate is usually in the hands of a higher or greater power, like the universe. I'm going to start with pendulums. Generally, pendulums are crystal points with a chain attached to it, but you can craft anything into a pendulum, like inserting a ring through a chain or a string with some sort of object. You want to make sure the object's weight isn't too heavy, and you will want the object to be somewhat symmetrical so that it is balanced. This will help provide more accurate results, which is why when you see most pendulums, the crystals are like geometrical pointed shapes. But I've seen people use raw crystals as well, and they're not perfectly symmetrical, but close, and these work very well too. So how does a pendulum work? All of us have psychic powers. Even if your third eye is not open, as long as you are touching an object, then so is your energy. You can just focus on the point of the pendulum and use telepathy to make it move. Literally, your mind power. Just like when you get tools or items that you plan to use for magic or rituals, you should cleanse your pendulum when you first get it. After cleansing your pendulum, you can program how it swings. You can let the pendulum decide, and you just ask it to show me a yes or show me a no. And it is different for each pendulum. Some will swing in circles counterclockwise for a yes, or clockwise for a no, or they'll swing in a diagonal direction, either left or right, but most people usually program it so that it swings vertically forward and back for a yes, and left to right for a no. So to program it, you just tell it using your mind, for now on swing this way for a yes, swing this way for a no. When you are doing that, imagine your energy flowing into the pendulum. Test it out by asking questions you know the answer to. Also, some pendulums will usually give answers for a maybe and an I don't know, or you aren't allowed to know, and this is usually in circles, or it stays kind of still while jumping a little like it's vibrating. You can program those too. Intentions are key, so you have to change your intent accordingly to who or what you want to connect to. When you don't specifically ask to connect to other entities, you automatically connect to your higher self. And this is for any tool, but do not ask, is there any spirit who is there who wants to communicate? Because when you do that, you have no idea what spirit will answer you, and they could be malevolent. Asking a question like that will expose you to any type of spirit. They may not be bad, but they may not be good either. You're setting out an invitation for strangers to come and connect with you, so it's best to connect with someone you know, like your spirit guide, your higher self, or a deceased relative. To ensure a safe communication, you must call the name of the spirit whom you know before you proceed to ask questions. If your third eye is not active, or if you are not experienced with feeling energies, you should say the name each time you ask a question. Even if you have your own spirit companion with you, you will still need to start with their name first, because it will lessen the risk of you connecting to an unknown spirit that could be a troublemaker. Most people are unable to see spirits in our world with physical eyes, but all spirits can see us. They can hear our thoughts telepathically, and they can read us. That's how dangerous it is when you are not aware of who is observing, talking, or doing something to you. This is why protection is very important. Some people have trouble using a pendulum, and I always suggest to hold it so that it is at the level of your nose. Also, don't worry about keeping your pendulum very still. As you lift it up to your face level and ask a question, it will swing to the appropriate direction. It needs a little momentum to move anyway, but it would be your energy that guides the direction. Don't overthink it. On a side note about pendulums, if you're using crystals, some entities feel discomfort when they communicate with you through a crystal that is not compatible with their vibration. An example would be using a pendulum with a clear quartz or a rose quartz to speak to darker entities. This makes them uncomfortable and is most suitable for lighter beings. For darker beings, I suggest something like onyx. Crystals that are mutual for dark and light entities would be ones like amethyst and jaspers. If you can't invest in separate pendulums, but you're fond of crystals, then you can just create and cast a spell on the pendulum so that it automatically adapts to the vibration of the spirit or entity you communicate with. You can also use the pendulum to find lost items, and you can use your higher self for this. Just ask yourself, where is the lost item? And the pendulum will point in the direction of the object. Visualize the object and focus your energy on your visualization along with your question. You would have to go to each room one by one, or you can ask yourself, is it in the living room? Is it in the kitchen? Or the bathroom downstairs? And when you are in the room the object is, you can ask the pendulum to point in the direction the lost object is at. Second, I want to talk about the most controversial tool, Ouija board, which is a type of spirit board. You really can make a spirit board out of anything, like even paper, for communication. You just have numbers and letter characters on it. Is a Ouija board an evil tool? No, it just depends on how you use it. The church and the media did a really great job exploiting the bad side of spirit boards, especially Ouija boards. They only show you and tell you about what happens if things go wrong, and they exaggerate it to the max. A good example of how something is bad by the way you use it is money. People say money is the root of all evil. Money is not evil itself. Instead, it really depends how you spend and earn the money is what makes it corrupt. What about guns? Guns are not evil. Guns will not kill people, but it is who is holding the gun and where the gun is being pointed and fired is the issue. In the end, it all depends on our behavior and how we use it. I don't want to get into the political side of things because some of you will really want to beg to differ and disagree that guns and money are evil. But in the end, humans invented those things. We invented those things. And it is both bad and good people that all over the world who use guns and money. So a Ouija board is a communication tool, and as a communication tool, it is only able to function for communication. Unlike a pendulum, you can't look for items with it unless you ask the spirit where something is, and they have to spell out another object that is near your missing item. Or a room, or I don't know, but like something similar like that. Again, just like any tool you use for communication, do not open an invitation for random unknown spirits to come talk to you. Don't be like, is there anyone here who wants to talk to me? Because you never know, a very evil spirit just might want to come around, and then it could get really bad because it could be so powerful that a regular banishing with sage won't make it leave. And they will want to stick around to make your life miserable by giving you bad luck or causing accidents, making you depressed and suicidal. You just never know. If you have a spirit companion, you can ask them to cast some protection magic on your tools. You can ask your spirit guides to cast protection magic on your Ouija board. If you don't know how to cast or make your own magic spells, you can just ask your spirit guides or your higher self or your shadow self or your spirit family to do it for you. Make sure you receive the confirmation though that the protection has been casted on your tools before you proceed to use it. Protection is there for your safety and to ensure that only who you call is invited. So if things go wrong, at least you have a shield or some protection to keep you safe from harm, to deflect attacks, or maybe one of your guides or spirit companions can make them leave if you don't know how to make them leave. Every time you connect to a spirit or invite them to talk to you, you open a portal. You can feel for their energy, but if you don't know how and you never start with a spirit's name and just straight up jump to asking questions, then this is a very certain way that you left your portal 100% exposed for any random unknown spirit to answer you. It is true, the Ouija board has the power to summon beings. By right, no, it's not the Ouija board, not the pendulum, not even the tarot cards or the communicating tools that have the magic. All of us humans have a third eye, and that is the window or portal to another dimension. When you go to sleep and you dream or astral project, you go into those dimensions. When you connect and communicate with spirits, your window or portal will open and the spirit has the opportunity to enter our realm, which we call our physical realm or the earthen realm. Spirits reside in what we call the astral planes, and the astral planes is the same place we all go to when we dream. And there are many multidimensional realms that exist there in the astral planes. Okay, the third subject I want to talk about is tarot cards. It is impossible for me to really fit everything about tarot in this video. I would have to make a separate 1-hour video or something. So I just want to briefly speak about them. Tarot cards are not the only type of cards there are. You can, there are angel number cards, oral cards. I said oral cards. I mean oracle cards, animal medicinal cards, herbal cards. There are so many types of cards. But when you divine using cards, this is called cartomancy. Did you know that the standard 52 card French deck that you see at casinos, they were originally made for divination and they were called tarot. Likewise, tarot cards were originally made for games like when you gamble and the roles switched along with the names. Divining is actually looking for information through supernatural means, and no, it doesn't have to be about the future, but that's what they are most well known for. You can divine through spirits, you can look up information about the past or future, and just about anything really. I love tarot cards because they are a very versatile tool compared to other cards. I feel like you get more information from them than other cards. You can use tarot cards to look for lost items. I've actually done this several times myself just by seeing the symbols and images on the cards I pulled. An example, this card here is the High Priestess from the Wild Unknown Tarot deck. This is my favorite deck. When I lost my ID, I pulled this card and the purplish bluish ball before the white tiger resembles my zebra amethyst crystal ball. This amethyst was propped against my mirror where a box was at the time, and I reached behind it and found my ID. I couldn't see it because the box was hiding it. But other things you can do with tarot cards is, of course, communicate with spirits, predict the highest probability of an outcome, or you can even read someone's personality or energy from cards. If you're skilled and experienced with tarot, you can pick up on specific time frames, what someone's astrological sign is, and even if someone is having a boy or a girl, if they're pregnant. Each card has multiple meanings upright, and when you reverse the card, it has more multiple meanings. When you combine the cards, it just opens up to even more meanings depending on what cards are combined with each other. There are 78 cards in a standard original tarot deck, and due to this, it can take like 8 consistent years to master tarot because memorizing them, the meanings and combinations, it's all tough. A lot of people give up and get bored because they find it complicated. I'll likely get over my nerves and eventually release a separate video dedicated to where I show myself going through every card, but that would be in a while from now. Okay, I almost forgot to mention technology. Yes, you can use things like simple smartphone apps to communicate with spirits. There are a ton of apps or software programs, and you can even Google programs you can download on your desktop. Again, it doesn't matter if the smartphone apps, a spirit board card, or pendulum, if they don't have magic. They don't have magic. Intention is key. When a person uses it, the person's intention to connect or to use the tool to communicate with a spirit is the magic. Your intention stimulates your third eye to open the window and allow the spirits to enter our world. In a sense, yes, everyone is a freaking wizard. This makes it sound like no one is special, but what is special is the time of effort and dedication you put into what you do. It takes years to master anything you want to be good at, and that includes working with spirits and practicing magic or alchemy. If you are consistent, it takes several months to 2 years just to obtain really good results. Practice makes perfect. The magic isn't the tool or the training wheels. It is in you and the power you possess. It has always been your mind. All you have to do is think and apply your intention to make it work. In conclusion to this video, are communication tools dangerous? When one doesn't know how to use them and lack the knowledge and experience without any protection, or just want to mess around and use it for fun to have a scare, the answer is yes. Of course it is dangerous because you don't know what the heck you're doing. If you are watching this video, that's good because you're gaining knowledge, which shows you are really serious about learning something. Even if someone thinks their religion or God is powerful, don't forget that there are many spirits out there that is even more powerful than what they know. This is where many people often make mistakes by being overconfident or arrogant, or they think their God will definitely protect them because sometimes they don't. Either to teach you a lesson, or they can't, or they won't. Plus, if one has done something wrong or disrespectful towards a spirit or being, then the said spirit has all the right to punish the user of the tool, and the user's guardians may not protect them. Fortunately, but unfortunately, spirit guides are not always willing enough to sacrifice themselves to protect you if you act dumb, especially if you need to learn from your experience. These are just some examples though. Well, that is really all for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you found it helpful, please support us by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Feel free to follow us on Facebook and check out our shop. Below are the links. Stay tuned for the next video. Thanks.